25 hidden Easter eggs in Disney and Pixar movies. Animated movies always hide some references that without a hint would be impossible to find out. In this video, we will show you what interesting Easter eggs the animators have hidden in the movie Luca and what other surprises you haven't noticed in your favorite movies over the years. Before we start, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Released in 2020, this Pixar movie was a hit and has such a touching plot, making it hard to pay attention to the Easter eggs right away. However, there are a lot of them. For instance, in the scene where 22 in the body of Joe's Gardner is evolved by the street music on the subway, if you pay close attention, you can see a mysterious combination of numbers on the trains. Does it remind you of something? Yes, this is a reference from Monsters Inc., which was a code to describe a hazardous material breach. Another curious scene in the movie is when Joe's soul arrives to the great beyond and malicious 22 takes him to the Hall of Everything. And just like the name says, this place has literally any item in the world. Hence, it would be odd to expect Pixar's animators not to take advantage of this opportunity to put stuff from other movies in there. And they did it. For instance, you can see the Pizza Planet truck here. It first appeared in Pixar's debut film Toy Story and has been featured in nearly all of the studio's work ever since. Even Dory from Finding Nemo tried to chat with him. There is this weirdly shaped rock from Cars, the spacecraft, the Ancient from WALL-E, the Cinderella Castle from Disney intro, a funny lamp from the Pixar intro, the attraction that Duke Caboon rides in Toy Story 4, the tram car in the Aztec Pyramid from Coco, and the blimp from Up. Yeah, we admit that this is a record of references in one movie scene. In addition, they also put references to movies that haven't even been released yet. In one of the scenes in Soul on the Streets of New York, you can see a colorful poster saying Visit Porto Rosso. But there is no such place in Italy. But it exists in the movie Luca, which was released a year later. The most recent work by Pixar, Luca, is a touching movie about an adventure of two kids on the Italian coast. And seems like the screenwriters decided to go all in and put a lot of references in it. In this scene, you can see the underwater helmet worn by the main character. Does it look familiar? Yeah, this is a copy of Nemo's house where he lived while being kept in the office of the dentist Philip Sherman. In another scene where Luca flies over the city on an aircraft, we see another obvious reference. A puppet doll that jumps on the cobblestones together with Cat and Fox. These characters all being slightly different clearly represents the characters of Pinocchio. And given that Pinocchio was based on an Italian fairy tale, this reference just had to be in the movie. Another hidden Easter egg from the classic Disney world is a Donald Duck figure in the room of the main character's friend Julia. If history had followed the plot of The Good Dinosaur by Pixar, we would probably have these reptiles living side by side with us until today. This is another movie full of cool references. For instance, in this scene where a giant Tyrannosaurus rescues Arlo from velociraptors, there's a similar scene in the first part of Jurassic Park, only with people instead of dinosaurs. Pixar screenwriters don't limit references to only animated movies. Sometimes they get a bit carried away and add references to future films. For example, in the scene where Arlo is sitting by the fire and Ransom tells the story of how she lost part of her tail. Part of it got stuck between stones and she needed to escape from there. Without thinking twice, she bit off part of it. This story is clearly inspired by an episode from the movie 127 Hours, with James Franco in the title role, in which the main character is trapped between rocks. At the end of the movie Coco, there is a funny part. Miguel takes part in the musical contest of the Land of the Dead. There are many presentations of single artists, rock bands, and a very strange dude who tries to play all the instruments at once. Do you see anything familiar here? Look again. Yes, he's wearing the same t-shirt as the evil Sid from Toy Story. We don't know why though. Maybe you could help us, write a comment below. Another cool reference was that Coco was released a little less than a year before the premiere of the second part of the cult movie Incredibles. So Pixar decided to gracefully reference the superhero sequel in one of the scenes. A company of spirits runs down the street with one small detail on these posters. The members of the Incredibles are portrayed as the dead from the land of the dead. This movie is full of Mexican traditions. No wonder why Pixar's writers included cultural references in the movie. For instance, when Miguel sees a ghost that looks a lot like the Mexican artist Frida Kahlo. In fact, the Day of the Dead is the main theme in the Coco movie and generally in Mexican culture. So the writers decided to use the opportunity to pay tribute to their loved ones. During the credits, you can see a very touching shot with photos of deceased family members and friends of the studio staff. Here is another movie with some references, but with less fiction than you thought. For example, in the scene where Meredith sees the wisps in the forest, the blue lights. They helped her find her way back home and later to the witch's cottage. In fact, those little things actually exist. It happens to be a natural phenomenon that can be seen in the fields and swamps at night. Scientists still can't explain their origin, but most likely is caused by bioluminescence or spontaneous combustion of bog gases. The screenwriters of this movie spent a lot of time exploring a lot of ancient locations in Scotland as they wanted to make the movie more authentic. For instance, this cool place with standing stones where a good part of the whole story unfolds. This same location is almost identical to the ancient Cavendish stones. If you haven't noticed this Easter egg, don't worry, we will show you. Do you remember the scene where the main character's brother steals cookies during a traditional competition in the kingdom? Did you notice that the scene is almost identical as Aladdin's scene where the loyal companion of the protagonist, the monkey Abu, stole watermelon in the market? Oh, by the way, Aladdin movie came out 20 years earlier. Here is another fresh movie from Pixar Studio, Raya and the Last Dragon, which is also full of Easter eggs. And here is one. There is a moment when Raya goes to Talonland and walks through a noisy market near one of the counters. You can see a funny rooster with a basket on his head. This is clearly a reference to Rooster from Moana. Here is a reference that only loyal fans of Disney will recognize. I will give you a clue. Pay attention to the way they are dressed. Did you find it? Yes, this is Mickey's hat from Fantasia. And one more cute Easter egg, the kitchen of the same tavern is run by a rat, which is very similar to Remy from Ratatouille. Was it the first time you noticed these references? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.